guys, I'm going to do a full review of the additional cards added in about 4 days. So the 26th is when these come out of November. Yeah, let's get started. Vava Lisa, Queen of the Forest. Lisa is back, and she's kind of insane. Let's get started. Alright, 3-play point, 1-3. Fanfare, randomly put one of the lowest cost Swordscraft followers from your deck into your hand. Last words, at the start of your next turn, randomly put one of the highest cost Swordscraft followers from your deck in your hand. So this does a lot of things. So, firstly, it reminds me a lot of Goblin Mage, a card that kind of broke Forest when it came out originally and had to be nerfed. They didn't want that problem, so they did one of the lowest, so it can pull a 1-drop and not just pull your Rhino Roach out of your deck. Yeah, but you can still build your deck around getting that Rhino Roach. Where Goblin Mage says, like any follower, Lisa is only Forestcraft followers. So if you want to pull a specific low-cost Forestcraft follower from your deck, you can just put other neutral followers on the low part of your deck. That's the same with pulling the highest cost Forestcraft follower from your deck. You can just choose what follower you want to pull. For Unlimited, you might want to pull your Arya out of your deck every time. So you would only put high-cost neutral followers in your deck, or just spells. So Lisa is the perfect tutor for your combo. So that's the obvious thing you can do in Unlimited. In Rotation, she's just a very strong value card. Draws you 2 cards for 1. Very similar to Singer. But Singer is has 1 less defense, but it doesn't really matter too much, because usually you want this card to die anyways. In Forest, it actually does matter a little bit more, now I think about it, because if your body sticks around, you have a better chance of buffing it with a Fairy Song, and also or Elf Song. And the next card I'm going to talk about will also work with it. So just a better Singer. I'd say it's a better Goblin Mage. And for Forest, I think you'd usually want to have some kind of card draw, because they run out of cards pretty quickly if you're not generating a lot of fairies. I'd give her a 5 out of 5. I think this card's always going to see play in any Forestcraft deck you build, no matter the strategy. Just the value's too good. It gives you a low cost to help you with your combos. It gives you the high cost to have the finisher, so you could draw you your Elephant, or it could draw you your Sky Devour. So you get those in your hand, so you're guaranteed the end game scenario. And it means that you only have to put one of them in your deck, because usually you don't want to have 2 Sky Devours or 2 Elephant Kings. So it just lets you comfortably run 1 copy, and then the second, third Lisa will draw you some other high cost card that's maybe a little bit more defensive, helps you get to the end game. Yeah, this card's really, really good. Next we have Lily, Kristalina Conductor. So Lily's back again. This time she is a little bit weaker. She's a 1-1 instead of a 2-2. But she has a different effect. Fanfare, if at least 2 other cards were played this turn, give +1 attack to all allied followers. Then if at least 4 other cards were played this turn, give +1 defense. So she works as an Elf Song if you've played 4 cards. I think it includes her. Either way, it's a powerful effect. Having Elf Song with a body is nice, but where Elf Song gives you 2 more fairies in your hand, which will help you combo into maybe your next elf song or combo into something else. She doesn't give you that ability, but she comes with a body, and she comes with a really strong evolve effect as well. So when she evolves, she just becomes a 2/2, so it only gets +1/+1. But she makes up for that because she gives +2/+2 to another allied follower. Not only is she buffing your whole board, but she gives some extra stats to another follower. Usually that other follower is going to attack face because you want to push your early advantage as forest. It also lets you trade pretty well, but it gives you the option to push a lot of damage face. Yeah, I'd give this card, I'd say about, it's probably as good or even better than Elf Song in some situations, but worse in other situations. Elf Song is like a 5 out of 5. So I'd say it's also probably a 5 out of 5. It's pretty strong. I don't think there's much else to say about it. Once Elf Song, when this is in rotation with Elf Songs, be really, really good. When Elf Song rotates, then this will be the replacement. Next we have the Swordcraft Legendary Magnolia, 5 play point, 1/5. At the end of your turn, give +1/+1 to all allied officers. She is commander, so she doesn't buff herself. Evolve, put a random follower that costs 2 play points and a random follower that costs 1 play point from your deck into play. At the end of your turn, give +1/+1 to all allied followers. So she's a 5 play point 1/5, which is obviously not very good. But you evolve and then you get a 1/1 and or 1-dropping and a 2-drop. That's pretty good. That gives you a lot of stats early. Sword can definitely make use of having a lot of stats early. Thing is, Celia does about the same thing, but she's more flexible. And if you run Celia and Magnolia in the same deck, Magnolia can pull the Celia and not buff it, where you want to get the buff on the follower that you pull with Magnolia. So there's that issue there. So maybe when Celia rotates, this is even better. But for now, it's a really solid card. You can line this up with maybe like a Sage Commander, but you can do the same thing with Celia, and we don't see that. So yeah, it's good, but I don't think Sword really has room for this 5-drop right now when they have other options, more flexible options, and this has anti-synergy with Celia at the moment. I'll give it a 4 out of 5. Next we have a giant Bane Swordsman, 5 play point 5/5. Pretty solid stats. Fanfare, destroy an enemy follower with at least 6 attack, and he's an officer, which shouldn't matter too much. Destroy an enemy follower with at least 6 attack. We see that a lot in Sword. They have a lot of these kind of giant slaying effects, killing big followers. 6 is quite high. 5 is usually the sweet spot for killing something with a lot of attack. So like Big Soul Hunter, she's really good at just killing the big thing that you need to get killed, because that threshold between 5 and 6 is quite high, because there's a lot of 3 attack followers being played right now that when they evolve they're 5 attack. This does deal with things like dragons from Haven, stuff like that, but Sword doesn't really have an issue with dealing with big things at the moment. And if their opponent's not playing any big things, then this is not very good. It's like a flex card. If the meta calls for something like this, he could be played. But right now, I don't see it happen. I'll give it like a 2 out of 5. Next, we have Orichel Comgolem. I'll call him Ori Golem for now. 5 play point 5/5 as well. Has Accelerate, Earthright X, randomly perform one of the following: summon a Clay Golem, a Verdict Ritual into your hand, or deal 2 damage to enemy leader. You do this X times, where X is the number of Earth Sigils that you've eaten up. So he eats all your Earth Sigils on the board and does this effect that many times. Usually you're going to want the Verdict Rune, or Verdict Ritual. The Clay Golem's not very impressive, it's just a 2 play point 2/2. If you're playing Earthright deck, then you probably don't really care that this is a spell that summons a 2/2. And there's the deal 2 damage to enemy leader, which is fine. The ritual does 3 damage to any target, so it's usually better because it's more flexible. But dealing 2 damage to the enemy leader costs no play points. So if you're playing an aggressive deck, then this works out pretty well for you. If you're trying to play like a long grindy game, it's not that great. But traditionally, Earthright's been more of an aggressive deck. Then if you play him normally without the acceleration, last words, summon 2 Earth Sentences and put a Golem into your hand and change its cost to 7. So this second Golem you get, its cost is increased, so it's trying to tell you not to play it as a body, because they didn't want you to just have like an infinite 5/5 Golem, which is easily easier to play. They want you to use the second Golem you get to accelerate to get rid of the Earthrights on the board. There's a huge glaring problem with this card right now, that his last words is pretty powerful, because it gives you the second Golem. And if you and Sword has a card that lets you steal last words. So if you play this and the opponent Orchestras at this, you didn't really get that much tempo because you just played a 5/5 without any fanfare or evolve effect, and they steal the ability. They will get the Golem into their hand, and their assessment is to use the Golem. It's just like it's too much value you lose. It makes the Sword matchup really bad against this guy, and Sword's really popular. So I wouldn't recommend trying him out at the moment. It seems like a good card, but it's countered really hard by Sword. Neither of the cards you get. 2 play point spell, 3 damage to an enemy. Earthright draw card. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That's really powerful. So usually you want the ritual. And this is their Essence, just a Earthright card. It's hard to judge him because the counters in the meta are too good. This might be Seymour Play Unlimited, where there's not as many Orchestras. I'm going to give him a 3/5 for now, but he's difficult to play in rotation for sure. Next we have Greya, 2 play point 2/3 with Ward. It's already very good stats, a very relevant ability. Evolve, put either a Greya's Ember or a Greya's Inferno into your hand. She's also a Mysteria card, so easily slots into a Mysteria deck. Just having a 3 play point 2/3 with Ward, that's a Mysteria card, easy include into Mysteria deck. There's no downside, just throw it in there. This is a great card. But she also has an Evolve effect that gives you an Ember, which is also a Mysteria card. 1 play point, deal 3 damage to enemy follower. Very good removal. 1 play point for 3 damage has been shown to be very, very strong. Also Mysteria card, so you have to double up on the cost reduction of your like Anne or Miss Miranda in your hand. And then there's Grey's Inferno, 3 play point Mysteria card, deal 1 damage to a random enemy follower 5 times. Pretty good to get rid of things that have like ambush, like Gilneas or something. If you have a the Mysteria leader, and you can double this effect, so it increases the damage by 1 And since it does 1 damage 5 times, it will do essentially 10 damage to enemy board, which is a huge board wipe if you just have those, if you have that leader effect already. So that's kind of insane. This card, really good. Even by itself, it's like just fine, but in the Mysteria deck, it's a 5 out of 5. Without Mysteria synergy, this card's about maybe a 4, maybe a 3.5. But right now, because you can play all the Mysteria cards, most of them are in rotation right now. She's really powerful. Next, we have the Dragoncraft Legendary, another 2 play point legendary for the 2 play point legendary club. He is a 2 play point 2/2, already good. If there's a 2 play point 2/2 with a positive effect, it's already good because the stats are super relevant in early game. Has Bane, so this is the first 2 play point 2/2 with Bane we've seen in the game. Most followers that cost 2 and have Bane, they either have 1 defense or they have 1 attack. Never are they a 2/2. And then he has Fanfare. If you have 10 play point orbs, give all allied Dragoncraft followers rush, reduce damage to those followers to 0 until end turn. So that also includes himself. So once you get to your 10 play points, if you ramped a little bit, or naturally get to turn 10, which is pretty bad, you'd hopefully ramped by then, he becomes really strong. He's already strong. He's already a very solid 2-drop. Like most classes, if they had a 2 play point 2/2 Bane, like, wouldn't be sad to include it. But this also has a bonus effect, which is very strong. Because you can set this up with a Poseidon if you have 10 play points. That's like the strongest thing I can think of. You play a Poseidon, you play a Masamune, and then you just get like this enormous board. You can clear the enemy board, and then you keep your enormous board. It's quite insane. Our game's going to go long enough for this kind of like back and forth board control. Right now, it's not really a thing. If there's like a Dragon Mirror, if you have that big push, then it's really strong because Dragon needs to kind of win the board and then start going phase with Storm. This lets you win the board and protects you from Storm, so it's really good in Dragon Mirror. It's okay against Shadow. Shadow wants to not really control the board by the end of the game, but set up an OTK situation at the end of the game. This is really good against Sword. It's fine against Haven, but Haven's kind of the same as Shadow in that the late game isn't really about board that much anymore. It's more about getting the kill on the opponent. This is also very good against Forest, which is like kind of the same as Sword, and that they need the board control. So very strong card. It's a 2 play point 2/2 with Bane. Super easy to include in your deck. I'm going to give us a 5 out of 5. I'm giving out a lot of 5 out of 5s for these cards, and it's like they're very strong, honestly. I don't really want to give out those lightly, but these cards are kind of insane. Next we have Pure Voice Dragoon, the Dragoncraft Gold, 4 play point 3/4. With Fanfare, if Overflow is active for you, choose put either a Dragoon's Command or a Dragoon's Meditation in your hand. So he's kind of got crappy stats. 4 play point 3/4 without any evolve effect is like not very good. So his cards that he generates must be really good, because he also needs Overflow to active for you. You can't just play this guy on curve. You have to wait until you have Overflow. And playing a 4 play point 3/4 with no like immediate benefits is like not good. So let's check out his cards, see if they're worth playing. So first we have Dragoon's Command, a 1 play point spell. Put a Wind Blast Dragon and a dragon in your hand. Enhance 10. Some of these instead. So Wind Blast Dragon, 6 play point, 5/5 Storm. Dragon's like a 5 play point, 5/5 with no effects. You never really want to just play the dragon. The Wind Blast Dragon's fine. It's just okay. It helps you close out the game. With some Storm. So playing this for 1, usually not too great, but you can play this for 1 and then play the Wind Blast Dragon immediately if you need it. If you don't have the 10 play points. The Enhance summons both of them instead, which is pretty good. 5 play points to get a 5/5 and a 5/5 with Storm is good. Especially for a dragon because they can ramp. So it's a pretty good card, the Dragoon's Command. If you could just put in your deck, it'd be great, but you have to play the Swordsmen first, which is a low tempo play. And then you have the option of Dragoon's Meditation, 2 play point spell that restores 6 events earlier. That's fine. Healing 6 is quite a bit for 2 play points, but you have to play the 4 play point follower first, so not that great. If this was like a standalone spell, I think it'd maybe be playable, maybe, but it comes with the body. It's okay. I can't see Dragon play it in any current meta deck. Maybe in Singleton Dragon, but of course there's a lot of things that you can put in Singleton Dragon. I think it's like a 2 out of 5. It's like okay. The problem is that it's just a 4 play point 3/4 that you have to hold in your hand until you have overflow. Next we have the Shadowgraph Legendary, the 4 play point 4/3 with Fanfare. Give another allied follower last words, draw a card. Whenever this follower attacks, gain 2 shadows. So that's alright. Give an allied follower last words, draw a card. So you have to have something on the board already, which is not really too difficult on curve. If you're going first, it becomes a lot harder if you're going second to do that. So you might have to wait until you have a 1-drop and then play this guy. Or wait until you have a 2-drop, play this guy. Like, not too bad. And then he has Last Words, Necromancy 5, Reanimate 3, and Reanimate 1 if you've evolved him. So another thing is the Reanimate 1 and 3, not very impressive for rotation right now. The 1-drops that you get are like, okay. Maybe Goblin would be the best thing to reanimate, and that's like fine. In Reanimate 3, there's like not many good 3-drops for Shadow that you really want to reanimate. There's like Fran, and then she's a 0/1. You don't want to reanimate Fran. So for rotation, this card's not that impressive. For Unlimited, you have much easier access to 5 Necromancy because you have like cards like Skull Beast. You have a bunch of things that can generate shadows early game. You have really good 3-drops. You have like the I think what's her name? The Rabbit Attendant and this Skull Knight. Some really good 3-drops. You have a better chance of playing this guy in curve. You have a better chance of getting something to stick on the board because you have like again Skeleton Knight. So you can curve into him a little bit better, and you can draw your cards. So I think he's good in a aggro Shadowcraft deck. Not so good in rotation mid-range. I'm going to give him a 3 out of 5. Next we have Crow, Regent of Darkness, 6 play point 5/5. His Fanfare, choose, put either an Infernal Crown or Descent into Madness in your hand. Stats, not very impressive for a 6-drop, but it comes with a fanfare that gives you a card. Let's see what the cards are. Infernal Crown is a 7 play point amulet with countdown 3. At the end of your turn, if this card's countdown is at 3, reanimate 8. If it's at 2, reanimate 10. If it's at 1, reanimate 12. Reanimate 8. What does that give you? Reanimate 8 right now gives you Abyss Straddler, Death Dragon Color, Loot, Chronos, Luki, Rampaging Mammoth, Hinterland Ghoul, like maybe Gilneas is okay. Nothing too impressive from the Reanimate 8. For Unlimited, you have Mordecai, which is very impressive. Getting this to get your Mordecai's maybe okay. If it's at 2, reanimate 10. So for Unlimited, you get your Mordecai Eternal Duelist, not the 8 play point version. You can play the 10 play point version in rotation. That's okay, but you have to wait an extra turn for this. It's kind of slow. We already know that Reanimate Shadow's too slow right now. This is like a really slow way of getting him out, especially when you can't really play the Death Dragon color in your deck because it will get pulled by this thing and you'll get a 2/2, which isn't great. And then finally, if it's at 1, reanimate 12, which isn't anything at the moment. Again, for Unlimited, you reanimate your maybe Proto Bahamut, your Mordecai Eternal Duelist. So getting 2 Mordecai Eternal Duelists from the Crown, or getting 1 Duelist, 1 Proto Bahamut, it's fine. It's like pretty solid. Getting 3 things out of the Crown over the 3 turns is good, as long as those cards are good. But right now we have nothing good to reanimate on 8. We have nothing good to reanimate on 8. Only thing we have good to reanimate on 10 and 12 is Proto Bahamut and Mordecai. For Unlimited, reanimate 10 is Zeus, and reanimate 12 is Zeus. So getting Zeus and then Zeus again is pretty good. But like pretty good is not good enough for Unlimited. You want something really insane to be happening at this point in the game. You're getting Mordecai and then Zeus on turn 7, 8, 9. So it's okay, but you have to deal with a lot of things in that format. It's a little slow. Very strong, but slow. This Reanimate 12 looks like they're planning for some kind of future addition to Shadow, where there's going to be a 12 cost card that you can pull. Maybe 12 or 11, something like a Zoe that you can't play normally. Next we have Descent into Madness, 1 play point spell. Give +4 to an allied follower. Necromancy 4, give that follower rush. That's okay. It's good. It's like a good like pseudo removal. Giving an follower for rush is great. Like if you're playing a reanimate deck, you reanimate like old Mordecai, you can give him rush to help get rid of something right away. To give some tempo. In rotation, like maybe you can give your Hinterland Ghoul rush. I don't know. You can give the Crow rush himself, which is like it's okay, not amazing. And the 4 attacks is a lot, but you're not. If you give me to the follower you want to rush, then you're not really using to go phase. But that helps. So like you can turn a small follower into a higher attack follower, so you can trade up. This card's fine. Like again, if this card could be played by itself, it'd be really, really stupidly good. It'd be insane. But you have to play the Crow first. 6 play point 5/5. Maybe you can sometimes treat him as a 7 play point, 9 Necromancy 4 rush. 9/5. It's like, okay. Until we get more cards to make the Infernal Crown good, for now this guy's like a 2/5. Next we have the Bloodcraft Legendary, 5 play point, 4/5, with Fanfare Vengeance active for you, gain Storm. Already pretty good. We've seen this effect before on a 4 attack. And it's only cost 5. It's like already pretty good. It's like extra copies of Dark General in your deck, but has more defense. And if you have 2 or less cards in your hand, gain Drain. If you have 0 cards in your hand, gain +3/+1. If you are empty-handed, if you're hellbent, as we call it in another game, you get +3 attack. So it's swinging for 7, swinging for 9 with Evolve, which is a lot of damage, especially on 1 card. Also Drain, so you can lets you swing face and not have to worry about trading, because you just swing face, hit them, heal back up. They're gonna have to trade into this. Next turn, you play another thing to kill them. The only issue is that you probably get yourself out of Vengeance with the Drain, unless you're really low. But like, not dying is good. Getting the face damage in is good. Maybe next turn you can raise Reclaw them, or find another way to get back into Vengeance. Very solid card. Requires some other cards to make it work. You need some good Vengeance cards. You need cards to help you survive. Good cards that help you swing tempo when you're going into Vengeance. Currently, Rotation doesn't have too many of those cards to help you kind of like stay in Vengeance and like swing Vengeance around. You can get you can play Waltz and get the Blood Moon, which helps. But it's like, when you're playing Waltz in your deck, that's kind of hard to get down to 0 cards. It's like kind of leans itself into a really aggressive Vengeance deck, or it's like a really like aggro Bloodcraft deck. This effect is really powerful, but Rotation might not be there yet for this card. Unlimited, definitely just slot it into a Vengeance deck. Very solid card. Very solid card. I think I'm gonna give it a 4/5. Until it sees the right cards for Rotation, then it'll probably be insane. Next we have Trill Devilish Idol, 4 play point 3/3. With Fanfare, choose put either Iza and Iza, Feline Maids, or a Demon Song into your hand. We're seeing a lot of these Fanfare choose cards in gold for them. These extra cards. She's 4 play 3/3, so she has less stats than normal 4/4, but she draws you a card, or gives you a card. First one is the Feline Maids, 2 play point 2/2. We've already talked about this. This is good stats. Evolve on allied Trill Devilish Idol on Fanfare. So if you have the play points, after you play Thrill, you can play this. Immediately Thrill will evolve. But then you can also evolve Feline Maids, because this doesn't allow you to evolve it, it just forces the evolve. Forcing the evolve is different than using an evolve. If a card like gives you the option to evolve it, like Orcris, then you use your evolve for the turn. But if something forces it to evolve, then you don't use your evolve for the turn. And this is pretty strong if you have the play points for it. And last words restore 2 damage to your leader. Just an extra bonus. That's nice. And then we have the Demon Song, 3 play point spell, deal 2 damage to all enemy followers. A good board clear. If allied Thrill Devilish Idol's in play, deal 3 damage instead. You're probably not going to play the Trill Devilish Idol then hope she lives for next turn to get the Demon Song to do 3 damage. You kind of have to play Thrill and then play Demon Song in the same turn to get 3 damage. So it kind of works as like a 7 play point board clear, which is like fine-ish. Fine-ish, not like super good. 2 damage to all enemy followers for 3s. Alright. Like, very good if you could just put in your deck, but you have to play Thrill first, so you can't play this on Curve, which is where this is the best. This is the best on about turn 3, 4, maybe 5 to help clear the board, because after that the followers get too big for this to help clear. I'd say this card seems just fine. And just a kind of middle of the road card. It has the flexible option of what to choose. It has value because you don't need to use an evolve. It gets value because you can get a board clear. But it's kind of slow. Like when you want the board clear, it's already too late. The evolve is like, sure, you get a good tempo turn, but really are you pushing an advantage that's going to help you win the game? Because Blood right now is not really about board control. So this is kind of like a stall card. And there's already a lot of good stall cards for Bloodcraft. And better board clears. I'm going to give this a 2 out of 5. It's not terrible, but not really that good. Next we have Holy Lion of Salvation for play point 2/5. With Accelerate 1, put Holy Lion Crystal in your hand. He has Ward. So already, it's a 1 play point spell that gives you another Holy Lion Crystal in your deck. Already sold. We have more Holy Lion Crystal cards. Easier to play them, easier to ramp up to the King Lion. But also, he can be played as the body with Ward, and then he has the Evolve effect, put a Holy Lion Crystal in your hand, change its cost to 0. So you get a body, relevant body because it's Ward, help you slow down the game, helps you in late game. Because a problem that the Lion deck has is racing the opponent, because once you get to the middle late game, it becomes a race. You're racing to get your King Lions out so you can try to storm them down really quickly. And then your opponent's like, oh, I gotta get them before they get to their King Lion, so I gotta race them down and gotta get that damage in. So this helps you slow down the game so you can get to your Holy Lion Crystals. The fact that it changes the Lion Crystal get to 0 means you probably want to immediately play it, no matter the situation. Holding on to it, unless there's like, there's gonna be a board clear next turn, it's like no reason to not just immediately play the Holy Lion Crystal. You get, because there's so many in your deck now with the extra copies, you probably don't have to worry about holding on to them to play as the enhance. This card is by itself not too impressive. In the Holy Lion deck, super good. Extra copies exponentially make the deck better of like the Holy Lion Crystal. I'm gonna give this guy a 4 out of 5. He is like not too insane by himself, but in the context of the deck, he's really, really good. Next we have Assault Priest, 5 play point 4/4 with Ward. 5 play point 4/4 with Ward, it's okay. Probably want more defense on him, but that's fine. Fan for draw card, so there you go. He didn't get too many stats because he has a really good fanfare. Just draw a card. That's good. Just replace himself, has Ward, helps you slow down the game. Like I said with the other card, if you're in like a race scenario, like these things help you get to that end game. And then when it evolves, you loses Ward, but it gets to destroy an enemy follower that attacked last turn. So you have the Pitfall Pitfall ability attached to him when he evolves. So he already drew you a card, and then you're evolving him. 6/6, pretty good, can clear pretty much everything, and you're destroying another enemy follower, so you're getting a lot of value out of one card. I'm gonna give us like a 3.5, maybe a 4. I'll keep it at 3.5 for now. Very solid card. A New Order, I talked in length. Maybe I'll put a link to the video here. There's too much about this card that I wanted to say. Summarize, it just like has a lot of potential, but it has to deal with the current meta, and the current meta is very hostile to this kind of like slow, kind of getting lots of advantage but very slowly kind of playstyle. And there's like too much setup, I think, for New Order. But it's like a card that you can build a whole deck around. It's just like insane what his ability does. You can watch the previous video where I talked about him. Next we have the Portalcraft gold card. Rikuna of the Resistance, 2 play 0.22. Again, good stats. Fanfare. Give all allied Portalcraft followers the following effect. Can't be destroyed by spells and effects. That's good. Interesting thing, it lets your puppets survive because your puppets try to destroy themselves end of turn. This stops that from happening. So maybe you can destroy a bunch of puppets and then have them sit on the board. It's like, okay. If you're playing Artifact Portal, and you know your opponent has a way of like board clearing you with a destroy effect, then you can play this, but not too many board clears right now in rotation destroy. They're mostly damage based. Mostly damage based board clears, so it doesn't help against that. This can help you protect one of your big things against being destroyed by spells and effects, maybe like a Lloyd. So it has maybe minimal uses currently, but it has powerful effect that I could see possibly being good if we see like return of like something like a Samus Decree. It helps protect against that, but currently not too many uses. Give her about maybe a 2 out of 5. Lariel, Archer Throne, 4 play 0.33. Hand 7 until end of your opponent's turn. Give all allied followers the following effect. Reduce damage from spells and effects to 0. So Enhance protects you from like the Dark Fuse Bat. Protects you from just getting burnt out by like Mysterium Rune. Protects you from Tenko Shrine. It also protects your board as well. And it includes your leader and all your followers. What I was talking about, not a lot of board clears are like destruction based. A lot of them are damage based. This protects you from a lot, like all of the damage based board clears. So very good in that regard. She also has Evolve, deal 2 damage to an enemy. Not too impressive, 2 damage isn't that much. But it can go face, which makes it flexible. That flexibility is nice to have, but again, like 4 play point card that evolves into 2 damage, not too impressive. Mostly you're going to put it in the deck for the enhance effect. If you're playing a very like board-based deck, you can play this to protect it from a board clear. It also doubles to protect your face against like a Dark Fuse Bat, any of the things I talked about. Probably like a very solid card, a very meta-dependent card, but it's a neutral that fits in a certain decks, but it likes decks that have a big board, but also likes decks that want to kind of like play slow and then use it to dodge a opponent's big nuke. I think I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5. It's kind of very niche in its uses, but where it's good, it's very good. Yeah, I'd say 3 out of 5. So that's all of the new cards added. Let me know what you guys think about them. There's a lot of powerful ones, very powerful. Definitely the dragon and like forest. Forest is definitely getting a lot of good stuff here. Forest currently sits at maybe like a this is a tier 2 spot. I'd say maybe closer to tier 1. This is definitely going to push it way ahead. Like, very, very good cards. All of these things have to deal with the current meta, and the current meta is tough. Also the Haven card. So I think the classes that benefit the most out of this were Haven and Forest, which were recently buffed because they weren't seeing that much play. They're seeing a little bit more play, but not as much as maybe side games wanted. Alright guys, and I'll see you guys next time.